Welcome to the Foundry by Forge College. Let's jump right in. Today's explainer picks up exactly where our last lesson on designing request distribution policies left off. So we've built this fantastic routing script, right? It easily handles session affinity, least connections algorithms, all that good stuff. But now we're diving into the wonderfully quirky world of Solana RPC providers. Specifically, we're pitting Helius against Triton and looking at the very real integration considerations you're going to face when scaling your Web 2 apps on Solana. It's time to build a smart, robust bridge between our router and these external networks.
Here is our engineering blueprint for today's universal translator. We'll diagnose the RPC translation problem, map out Helius versus Triton quirks, build our provider adapter, normalize our responses, run some smoke testing with mocks, and finish up with configuration-driven provider toggling. Let's get to it. Section 1. The RPC translation problem, or what happens when RPCs just don't speak the same language.
Okay, so we built a great request distribution router, but there is a major catch. Imagine your routing script is a monolingual manager trying to give really complex operational orders to a room full of foreign dignitaries, and literally every single one of them speaks a completely different language. Your router wants to send a batch request to check some balances, but the providers have totally different ways of receiving that request and sending the data back. Without a translator in the middle, the whole communication process breaks down. So our solution? The provider adapter. It's basically a mechanical software interface that translates those messy, vendor-specific RPC dialects into a nice, uniform, standardized data structure. Because think about it. If our router tries to talk to Helius and Triton directly, our beautiful, pristine codebase instantly turns into this tangled, unmaintainable nightmare of if-else statements. By using this adapter pattern, we normalize everything. The router just speaks one standardized language to the adapter, and the adapter handles all the messy translations behind the scenes.
Which brings us to Section 2, Helius versus Triton quirks. We need to inspect these foreign dialects.
To build an adapter that actually works, we have to deeply understand the weird eccentricities of these two incredibly popular Solana providers. I mean, sure, they both serve up the exact same Solana blockchain data, but how they want you to ask for it and how they tell you to slow down, completely different. Take authentication, for example. Helios demands an XAPI key header, but Triton? They expect an authorization bearer token. Next up, batching. Helios is perfectly happy supporting standard JSON RPC batching as an array of objects. Triton, on the other hand, prefers single requests, or you have to use their own explicit vendor wrapper. And then, my personal favorite headache, rate limiting. When you inevitably get a 429 too many requests error, Helios might bury a retry after hint deep inside the JSON body, whereas Triton just uses the standard X rate limit reset HTTP headers. Our adapter basically has to play catcher for all these curveballs and translate them seamlessly.
Moving to Section 3, building the provider adapter. We are going to iterate on this with a little AI assistance. All right, hard hats on. We're going to use a vibe coding process here, leaning heavily on an AI assistant to do the heavy lifting of writing all that boilerplate TypeScript. Now, AI is amazing for this kind of scaffold generation, but only if you give it incredibly strict blueprints and boundaries to work within. So here's our 4-step iterative loop. 1, scaffold the adapter interfaces. 2, test with mock data. 3, fix the normalization logic. And 4, refactor for clear error extraction. Honestly, you kind of have to treat the AI like an eager but slightly sloppy intern. We have to guide it through this strict loop to get our format request and send methods built properly. We give it the interface, test its output against our mocked data, and force it to refine the code until both the Helios and Triton adapters behave perfectly to our standards. Section 4, normalizing responses and errors, or creating the uniform product. Okay, so now our adapter can successfully format and send requests out into the Web3 wild, but we have to handle what comes back. And guys, we absolutely must enforce a strict normalized standard here. We cannot let provider-specific errors leak back into our beautiful routing script. Otherwise, our entire load balancing logic just falls apart. The crucial point is this question right here. What happens when a batch partially fails? Imagine Helios returns a batched response where 3 of your requests succeeded and gave you account balances, but 2 failed because of invalid parameters. If we just pass that raw mixed bag back to our router, it has no idea what to do. It's going to panic and crash. It simply doesn't know how to read a Helios-specific error buried inside a batch array. The adapter has to intercept that chaotic payload. And that is exactly why we enforce a strict normalized response shape. Every single call, regardless of the provider, absolutely must return an object with success, data, error, and rate limit info.
The adapter has to aggressively map all those messy vendor-specific payloads, whether it's a partial success, a body-based retry end, or a header-based rate limit, into this single, predictable contract. This is what keeps our core routing policies totally independent of provider quirks, allowing them to focus purely on distributing traffic.
Section 5, Smoke Testing with Mocks. This is our quality assurance on the workbench.
Listen, before we deploy this shiny new gear system to the live factory floor, we have to run some stress tests. We do this on our workbench using mocked provider responses, ensuring everything is highly deterministic. This means we aren't wasting live API calls or getting false positives from weird temporary network latency. To pass QA, we must verify the accurate auth headers for each provider. We need to confirm that batch-to-array normalization works flawlessly. We have to validate that those rate limit info backoff hints are being properly extracted from both headers and JSON bodies. And we absolutely must test our configuration toggles without hitting live endpoints. In our advanced programs at Forge College, this is exactly where we see developers trip up the most. You have to verify these specific elements deterministically. Because if you don't mock a partial success response and test it here on the workbench, I guarantee you it will break your app in production exactly when you least expect it.
Finally, Section 6, Configuration-Driven Provider Toggling, the final launch. So we've passed QA, our adapters are rock solid, and it's time to integrate this back into our core router. This is where all that meticulous planning and standardizing finally pays off. Without our adapter, you have this tangled, hard-coded vendor logic mess with if-else statements scattered everywhere, a total nightmare to maintain. But with our new architecture, we get clean, configuration-driven routing. Switching from Helius to Triton is now literally just changing a single string in a JSON file. That's it. Zero code rewrites required. The router just says, hey, use the active adapter, and the adapter handles the whole shebang flawlessly.
Which brings us to a final, pretty provocative thought. With your normalized rate limits and errors flowing perfectly out of your new adapters, how will your router automate failovers during a massive provider outage? This clean adapter architecture sets the perfect stage for our next lesson on monitoring and fault tolerance. You've isolated the complexity, now it's time to make it bulletproof. To dive deeper into Web3 API development and continue exploring incredible topics exactly like this, head over to forge.college. Keep building, keep iterating, and we'll see you in the next explainer.